what's going on, everybody? It is Tuesday, not our usual Benchwarmers day, but had to make do because I got super slammed yesterday. But as always, it's your boy Benjamin. Always happy to see you. JM1620 in the house. My name is Eric. What's going on? As always, if you guys aren't able to show live, you can always catch us on YouTube at Hat-Club. Be sure to subscribe to us, which is a fancy word for follow. Give us a like if you like what you see. What is up, chats? Busy weekend of sports we just had. Plus, had to delay the start of this week's show on account of the fact that Oregon's men's basketball, more specifically, currently playing in Las Vegas. I didn't know. I didn't know this until yesterday, and this is my fault for not looking at the schedule. Otherwise, I probably would have gone, but they just took down number 20 Texas A&M by the score of 80-70. Super stoked. Great way to start the afternoon. Sub Diego 619 already talking shit. Oh, no, not really. Big San Diego State Aztec fan, Sub Diego. And of course, the Ducks, undefeated still, 6-0 on the season, going against San Diego State tomorrow at the MGM Arena. Wish I was there. Wish you were too, brother. Unless you are, in which case I say good for you. But I clearly screwed up on this one. But Mace writes, what's going on? Flashfire in the house. Just Shady G. About time we get some California Angels in this joint. Are you kidding me? We've been dropping Angels like crazy. Yeah, winner gets 1.5 million in NIL money. Wait, are you joking? Or are you being dead serious? Because if that's the case, then hell yeah. Sub Diego also says he'll be in Vegas January 3rd through 6th. So here's the funny part. My next trip is actually going to be December 8th through 12th. So I will obviously not be present for. Oh, that is for real. Okay, good to know. That is. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. Vegas, gonna be there December 8th through 12th. So I will not be doing the shows that week until Friday. Obviously, I'll be missing recap that week. I'm sorry, but hey, Austin and Tefuri got on lockdown, so we're good there. Okay, Just Shady Z was talking about just specifically California Angels interlock logo from the mid 90s. Okay, you got me on that one. I agree. So, my name is Eric says, yo, Ben, what's the best time to try cop anything tomorrow for the rug giveaway? 11 a.m. PST on the dot, brother. I'm going to be fighting for one, too. I don't get one for free, so I got to figure out what hats I'm going to buy tomorrow so I get one. The only thing I'm getting for free is the deck of cards and the puzzle, just because my face is on it. Or at least they better send it to me. I'm going to be kind of pissed about that if they don't. But anyway, let's get the show on the road. Jersey pickups. I didn't have any for last week because I got a horde of it the previous week. But just got one in the mail yesterday. So good thing I didn't do the show yesterday. Doing it today so I could show this bad boy off. And this was a pretty goddamn crazy find because I didn't know it existed. So I've mentioned this in the past that there's a website. Hey, Gabe, what's going on, dude? There's a website that I follow, that I check in regularly with. They've got, for the most part, an archive account of all the jerseys that have been made, but there are like 5 teams that they don't have listed. And it's pretty much every team alphabetically after the Philadelphia 76ers. So it's like somehow the Minnesota Timberwolves aren't there, but we're not talking about city name alphabetically. We're talking team name. So Timberwolves, Warriors, Spurs, Supersonics, Suns, and I think that might be it. So anyway, so occasionally I'll come across something where it's just like, oh my God, I didn't know that was a real thing. And here it is. Minnesota Timberwolves, number 30. That's right. Former Trailblazer legend, Terry Porter. So, and my biggest concern, of course, was whether or not it's legit, not the legitimacy of it, but I mean, just more, is it a custom job? Because obviously there's jerseys that I get done by my friend. Oh my God, I'm spacing on his name right now. My friend up in Seattle. Fuck! I can see his face. His birthday is like next week too. Oh my God, why can I not think of his name? It'll hit me in a little bit. But anyway, the biggest thing to look out for, if you're wondering if it's my former friend, of course, yes. Marlon. God, Marlon. Fuck. Because he always goes by Mar. Anyway, the biggest thing to look out for is if you can see basically the printing through, so as if the screen printing is coming through the little holes in the jersey. That's how you know it was actually one that was done by Champion. The ones that typically don't show through are the ones that are custom jobs. So that's all I meant by that. Not, yeah, like Miami. Exactly. I cannot believe I forgot his name. Anyway, let's talk about sports. I'm starting with the NFL this week just because the fact that we had the Monday night game yesterday, so that kind of wrapped things up. But this one goes back to Thursday, so backtracking Thursday through Monday. The snow game, or otherwise known as the snow globe game, as they're calling it right now. This one threw me off because for our Pick'ems league, I was dead set on the Steelers winning this game. They were favored -3.5, and it's based on the way that the Steelers have been playing this season. They got a big win over the Ravens the previous week, and nothing against the Browns, nothing against Jameis Winston. I love Jameis Winston. Back in the day, used to hate Jameis Winston just because I'm a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan. I felt they would have been better off with Marcus Mariota, but honestly, in the final year that Jameis was in Tampa Bay and every year since then, he'll have some crazy soundbite, and it's like, damn, how is this not the most likable guy in the NFL? And he's fun as hell. So naturally, I didn't watch this game. My wife and I were actually in Pismo Beach, just kind of relaxing. I was still doing some work stuff, whatever. So we ended up not watching it. But had I known that there was going to be a blizzard blowing through Cleveland that night, I would have changed my pick to Cleveland +3.5. But I didn't. And James put on a show. And then even his interview before the game where he's just talking about, oh my God, it's going to snow tonight. I'm so happy to be here, to be playing in this, et cetera, et cetera. I'm paraphrasing, of course. Like, if I would have caught that interview, I would have changed my pick immediately because the dude the dude just gets it and knows how to have fun, and he knows how to win. So the Browns are definitely in a better position with him. But David Kearns, I know he's not here right now. I know he was bummed. He's a lifelong Steeler fan and did not get this pick right. But 24-19 final score in favor of the Browns. Going to Sunday. I had the Titans +8.5 in this one, and rightfully so. Felt like it was going to be a close game, but the Texans were going to win, but just bad field goal kicking, which seems to be the theme of not only the weekend, but the entire season for dudes who are just like dead locks from 50 yards out. Game ended on a safety, which is how it became 32-27, but Titans with the win. Will Levis, not a bad game for him, despite the fact that he got sacked 7 times in the first half. Crazy. Vikings and Bears. Vikings get the win 30-27. But this one pissed me off because I had the Vikings -3.5. And I mean, they pretty much had it locked up from the second quarter on and then crumbled in the fourth quarter. So excellent drive by Caleb Williams under a new offensive coordinator. Of course, they forced overtime, but Vikings win by 3. Suck it. Cowboys were going +11.5. So even with the struggles that they've had, no longer having Dak Prescott, I had a feeling the Cowboys were at least going to cover. I was not expecting them to win. And a missed PAT, a missed field goal for the Commanders from a kicker who had been lights out all season. Huge surprise there. Not to mention one of the greatest kickoff returns in NFL history with the spin move juke to go to the house. And oddly enough, the Cowboys had 2 kickoff returns. One was an onside kick. One obviously was a deep kick in this game. So 34-26 in favor of the boys. Patriots, what the fuck, man? I think I took them +7.5, and I don't know why I did, but Tua, since it's coming back, has been pretty much lights out. 34-15 final score there. Excellent game by he and the Dolphinos. Chiefs almost blowing it. I took them -11.5. What an idiot move that was. But the Panthers kept this one close. Bryce Young, after getting benched, has come back and proved to be, a semi-reliable quarterback in the NFL. So good for him there. I was really hoping because, like, in the case of if I'm going to lose a pick, I'd rather just straight up lose it. not lose it because the Chiefs couldn't cover it. I'd rather the Panthers have, squeaked out a miracle win over the Chiefs, but not the case. Harrison Butker's replacement for the Chiefs got the game winner, 30-27 final score there. Bummer. Buccaneers, the boys are back. Brother Bishop, what is going on? Yes, Flashfire, so many goddamn weird games this weekend. Tommy DeVito got the start for the Giants, but that didn't matter, of course, after the Giants let Daniel Jones go. Couple highlights I want to cover in this one, just because one, I'm a huge Buccaneers fan, but two, Bucky fucking Irving, the former Duck, super late round draft choice by the Buccaneers, has been one of the surprise draft picks of this NFL season. 5 touchdowns on the year, which I believe has him tied for 9th of all running backs. And he's putting up some good yardage just on account of the fact that he's got some very, very reliable legs under his waistline. Had an amazing 57-yard run in this one. But more importantly, Mike Evans is back. So great to have Baker Mayfield with yet another reliable target. Not to mention the fact that Rachaad White, majority of his touchdowns this season have come via the pass. So I ain't mad about it. Rachaad White, Bucky Irving working well perfectly, because Rachaad White still being thrown in there as a running back position, but so is Bucky Irving. But like I said, when you're throwing more balls to Rachaad than he's getting run plays, I ain't mad about it, especially when he's getting positive yardage out of it. So 30-7 final score here. Baker is that dog. Lions beating up on the Colts 24-6. No surprise there. Broncos over the Raiders. This one I had the Broncos -5.5, and rightfully so. Bo Nix, for whatever reason, just all of a sudden, these last month or so, has just been turning it on. And I would argue that it's really between him and Bucky Irving at the moment for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Feel free to throw some other names in there. You could throw Caleb Williams in there, I guess, but I would still say Bo Nix is definitely putting up better numbers than Caleb Williams, and realistically anybody else in the mix there. And then, like I said, Bucky Irving, at least from the running back position, has been doing well above the league average right now. So love to see it. But 29-19 final score. Broncos over the Raiders. Big sea of orange in Vegas over the weekend to witness that one. This one surprised the hell out of me. I took the Cardinals +1.5, but the Seahawks have been playing some excellent ball lately. 16-6, the final score there. Definitely should have changed my pick. I did change my pick on this one the second I found out Brock Purdy was down. I took the Packers -6.5, rightfully so, 38-10. Packer defense was on fire, forcing turnover after turnover after turnover. Not to mention 3 touchdowns by former Raider running back Josh Jacobs. Almost said Josh Jacobs. Excellent game for him. Decent game for Jordan Love and company. So no complaints there, despite the fact that I started Jordan Love over Patrick Mahomes this week at quarterback in our fantasy league. And Patty Mahomes decided to have himself a 3-touchdown game. But I squeaked out the win. So rainy 99 colors, suck it. But yeah, 38-10 was the final score there. Eagles pummeling the Rams, all behind Saquon Barkley's legs. And here was the dicey part. So I had like a 65-point lead going into this game, and rainy 99 colors still had not Justin Fields. Quarterback for, there's too many similar names in the league, because there's Jordan Love, there's Justin Fields, Jalen Hurts quarterback for the Eagles. He had Jalen Hurts, and he had Saquon Barkley. And somebody had made the comment that there was the possibility that there's going to be 60 points coming out between the two of them. And sure enough, it actually happened. I somehow escaped this week only winning by 10, because I still at least had the Ravens defense going for Monday. But Saquon Barkley, 255 yards on the ground and 2 touchdowns. Not to mention the fact that 2 of those runs were 50-plus yards. So needless to say, I was sweating hard during that game. I did take the Eagles as the favorites, so got the point there, thank God. But 37-20 final score. And needless to say, once they got to the fourth quarter, and it's just like, can you guys just please stop giving the ball? Like, give it to Gainwell, which they did on a certain play, To which case, in the red zone, he got a touchdown. Thank God it took it away from Saquon. But Jesus, that was too close for comfort, especially based on the fact that I've lost basically every week for the last 2 months in fantasy. So finally happy to get my third win of the season, and I'm still in dead last in our league. And of course, the final game, Ravens Chargers, 30-23 victory for the Ravens. Been saying it week after week. Justin Herbert needs a relocation, a new change of scenery, or he needs an entirely different receiving core because that man is accurate as fuck on his passes, but his receiving core is letting him the fuck down, and it's depressing to see because of how talented he is. But I did take the Ravens -2.5, so very happy about this pick. Like I said, 30-23 final score there. Thank you, best of AZ. Yeah, I don't know. I was gonna say Justin Fields, Jordan Love, Jalen Hurts, blah blah blah. Yeah, dude, it's too many similar names out there, so I kind of keep getting them overlapped. But anyway, my hot topic for the week is gonna go back to a tweet that I sent out Sunday night. I of course forgot to get a screenshot of it. Oh, Brother Bishop says, dude, don't get me started about my fantasy season, dude. I've been doing so bad. So bad. And sorry, Sub Diego. I know I wasn't trying to, dig against Chargers or anything like that, but because of their relocation to LA and stuff like that. I'm still pissed about that for you guys. Anyway, my hot topic of conversation goes based on a tweet that I sent out over the weekend from my personal account where I was talking about referees and umpires and such like that in all North American professional sports leagues. More specifically, this centered around football because I'm about to go into college football. But best to talk about the NFL. So every referee crew in the NFL has 7 guys, 2 of which are mainly focused on the replay side of things, 5 guys on the field because you have your line judge, your field judge, your back judge, et cetera, et cetera. And I don't know if you guys knew this, but each one of those guys gets paid over $200,000 a year. That's the starting price, just because this goes back to a decade ago when there were the backup referees because all the NFL referees went on strike. They wanted more money, and it took a couple of weeks, and more specifically that I can't remember if it was a Sunday night or a Monday night game between the Packers and the Seahawks that basically set the negotiations in motion because there was the one back judge who signaled the touchdown, the other one that waved it off, blah, blah, blah. So things are supposed to be better. And here we are 10, 12 years later, whatever the time frame is. Yet we still have plays on the field where obvious fumbles occur because we as viewers, there's always a camera on it. Don't get me wrong. But like I said, there's 5 guys in the field who should be witnessing all of this. There's multiple holding calls that are never flagged. There are pass interference penalties and defensive holding and blah, blah, blah. All this stuff going on. And yet these highly paid dudes who all their entire job is, I mean, yeah, they might have some hobbies or some other side job outside the season, whatever. People get bored. But at the end of the day, a 6-figure, and we're talking decent 6 figures of $200,000 plus, as I mentioned a little bit ago. And all their job is to, 1, know the rules of the game forwards and backwards, and 2, keep an eye on every single flaggable offense that's going on. And yet they are not capable of doing that at the top of their game. Thank God for replay, but at the same time, it shouldn't be the responsibility of the coach to have to signal the replay, especially when there's so many cameras going on the field. And the main culprit of this occurred Sunday night during the Philadelphia LA Rams game because there was that early fumble, and then Coach Sirianni for Philadelphia threw his flag on the field to challenge it. None of the refs saw it, so they allowed the Rams to run the next play, which based on that completely negated any chance of a replay. However, because of the fact that Sirianni had thrown the flag on the field before the play started, the refs did see that finally and then overturned the play that was run and decided to do the replay review, and then bam, overturned the call because it was a legit fumble. But you shouldn't have to rely upon that. And this goes to baseball as well. Umpires missing calls, bang bang plays at first base, home plate, missing strikes and balls calls, etc. It's like, guys, for as much as you guys are getting paid and this is your fucking career, do fucking better. That's all I got to say on that. So, anyway, moving on into. Oh, sorry, I forgot about the standings. So, AFC side of things, Bills still on top of the East. I think they're 2 games away from clinching a playoff spot. Dolphins 5-6, right behind. AFC West, Chargers and Broncos on the heels of the Chiefs by 3 games back, but the Chiefs are about ready to clinch a playoff spot for themselves as they are 10-1 on the season. Sub Diego 619 says, I think part of it is they are bitter because they know the robots are coming. I agree with that, and the robots should come. More specifically for baseball, just because I need a more reliable source to call balls and strikes. Everything else on the field can be done by the human eye, no problem. But balls and strikes, there's no excuse for that. Just because the fact that you're so close to the action, you should be able to see where the ball is going, and that's the primary bit of your job. Ah, ah. AFC North side, Steelers still on top, just barely by a half a game, just because they still have a game in hand over the Ravens, who are 8-4. AFC South, Texans 7-5, 2 games up on the Colts. So getting dicey there because the Texans are kind of falling apart right now. But NFC side of things, Eagles with a significant lead over the Commanders at 9-2. Commanders, of course, are 7-5. NFC West, odd to see the 49ers in dead last place, but realistically, we're only talking about a game separation because Seahawks and Cardinals are tied right now, followed by a tie between the Rams and the Niners in second/last place in that division. NFC North, clearly the best division in football. Lions 10-1, followed by the Vikings at 9-2, and Packers at 8-3. More than likely, all 3 of those teams are going to be making the playoffs. NFC South, Buccaneers with the win, pulls them within 1 game of the Falcons, who thankfully had a bye week this week, but the Falcons are still on top of the NFC South, 6-5. Anyway, college football. This one goes back to Friday. Despite the fact that San Jose State almost pulled the upset on Boise State the previous week, they had a home game back-to-back weeks, this time against the ranked UNLV, who's 9-2 on the season now because of a 27-16 victory over the Spartans. Illinois, miracle win at the end based on a midfield Hail Mary pass. It was supposed to be a field goal, but Rutgers decided to call a timeout to try and ice the dude. And Illinois was just straight up like, well, screw this. We're just going to go for it. And 4th down play, pass play in the middle of the field, like I said, about the 30-yard line, and then just ran it in from there. Good little scramble by him. 38-31 victory for the Fighting Illini. This was the biggest game of the weekend. I woke up ass early for it because it was a 9 a.m. West Coast game. Ohio State versus undefeated Indiana. I had hoped that Indiana was for real. Still up in the air on that, but Ohio State's been playing some really good football, with the exception of maybe the Penn State game, since they lost to Oregon. But 38-15 final score here. So solid 23-point victory for the Buckeyes. Indiana, of course, still stays within the top 5 just because top 2 win. There we go. SMU, darlings of the ACC, not from Miami, of course, 33-7 final score over Virginia. Looking like they're more than likely going to be going to the ACC championship game in their first season against Miami, which is going to be awesome to see. And of course, Miami comeback win, or comeback after the previous game they played, which they lost to Georgia Tech, 42-14 victory over Wake Forest. No surprise there. Gators, Florida Gators with a big win over Ole Miss. Jackson Dart of Ole Miss, 3 interceptions in the last 3 possessions for the Rebels. They fell apart, man. They had them on the ropes. They had so many chances to win, but the Gators held tough. 24-17 final score. Georgia had a bit of trouble with UMass, which was surprising. Going back to what I was talking about last week in the SEC, always scheduling a punching bag at the tail end of the season. But UMass, 21 points they put up on the Bulldogs. And I mean, it was pretty close at the beginning portion of the third quarter, and then Georgia just kind of turned it on offensively from that point. So Surprising. Gabe, I know you were watching it. You were probably sweating a bit just because Georgia can obviously do better. Tennessee going against UTEP, 56 nothing. No surprise there. Whatever. This game pissed me off just because I thought Minnesota was going to take it. It was a home game for the Golden Gophers against number 4 Penn State. And I will say Minnesota led for the vast majority of this game. But it was really the tail end of the second quarter and then the second half where Penn State just turned it on, despite the fact that, Minnesota had that blocked, uh, the blocked PAT against Penn State and ran it back for a 2-point conversion. Something I did to Austin when we were playing Madden this last year. And yeah, just a bunch of other plays where it's just like how Minnesota lost this game is still just kind of mind blowing to me. But it was only by one. So 26-25 for the Nittany Lions. This game I was heavily focused on Kansas 37-21 victory over Colorado. Travis Hunter had a decent game, 2 touchdowns, including a 50-yard touchdown reception. But Kansas's running backs had 4. Kansas's running back singular had 4 touchdowns on the day, and the Buffaloes just couldn't stop them. So very exciting win for Kansas, and the game was at Arrowhead Stadium. So because big game, you gotta max out the stadium there. Bit of controversy in this one, and I know the crowd here is kind of split on it because I know we got some Arizona State fans in here. Arizona State dominated this game. Like, don't get me wrong, but the performance BYU put on in the second half, and especially with the very end of the game and the controversy that surrounded that of Arizona State just basically throwing the ball away, kind of like what you would see in a college basketball game when there's like 4 ticks left on the clock. All you have to do is just throw it straight up in the air and just hope that, the ball doesn't land enough time for the opposing team to just pop and shoot. But this one was crazy because the fans obviously rushed the field thinking the game was over because the clock did go to triple zeros. But based on where the ball landed and upon replay, there was 1 second left on the clock. Arizona State's way of basically killing the last 57 seconds of the game was a bit strange. I mean, realistically, you could have taken a knee and kill the clock that way, but they decided to just keep moving backwards, taking a sack here, taking a sack there, whatever. So all in all, BYU had one more crack at it with 1 second left to go on the clock and threw a pretty solid Hail Mary that got down to the 1-yard line. Not to mention, speaking about refs and just missing calls, the fact that BYU's receiver, yes, he did make the catch, but that dude was molested. Like, there should have been at least 3 pass interference calls on that, which in reality would have given BYU one more shot at it with no time left on the clock and only 1.5 yards to go, we'll say, maybe 2. So interesting referee job by the Big 12 there. But, like I said, Arizona State dominated that game and should have won. It should not have been that close at the end. So the good guys win in theory, even though I still, as a former Mormon, still kind of support BYU. So anyway, Clemson win over Citadel 51-14. Big deal there. Texas versus Kentucky 31-14 victory. I was hoping Kentucky was going to put on more of a show. They did not. 56-12 South Carolina over Wofford. Once again, SEC, ACC punching bags end of the year. Missouri 39-20 over Mississippi State. No surprise there. This one pissed me the hell off. Game was at Yankee Stadium, neutral ground site. Notre Dame 49-14. Notre Dame has been playing some solid ball after their loss to Northern Illinois, which sucks because I do not want to see Notre Dame anywhere near the playoff. They're going against USC this weekend. So if USC wants to do something great, if Lincoln Riley actually wants to, prove he's worth the salt, get the win over fucking Notre Dame this weekend, please. But either way, 49-14 over undefeated Army, which Oregon had a bye week this week. Last undefeated team in the country. Go Ducks, baby. Boise State had a bit of a challenge in Laramie, Wyoming against the Cowboys of the University of Wyoming. 17-13 final score there. Ashton Jonty, 2 touchdowns on the day, 170 yards rushing, but he was out for like the majority of the second half just because he was running kind of hurt. And definitely got to save your best player for bigger games. But at the same time, you got to beat teams like this. So 17-13, Mountain West football for you. Iowa State barely getting past Utah, 31-28. Texas A&M taking the loss at Auburn, 43-41 in overtime. That one surprised the hell out of me. Sorry, in quadruple overtime, because then it was going for 2-point conversions at that point, and Auburn was able to seal the deal on that one. So I know Logan Herrera, if you're here, I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry. I would have figured, just because the fact that Oklahoma, big win in Norman over Alabama 24-3. I figured, like, okay, A&M's going to win this game over Auburn. They're going to jump into the top 12, basically taking over Alabama's spot. Not the case. So, in which case, I got some words to say about that. But yeah, good job for the Sooners. I'm not a Sooner fan by any stretch. I actually hate Oklahoma for that matter, but I'm really glad they got the win this time. But yeah, here's a look at your AP top 25. And I mean, with the exception of Oregon, Ohio, the top 5. We'll start with we'll just go with the top 5. Makes perfect sense. Makes perfect sense. Georgia at 6, I don't know about that. Tennessee at 7, okay, whatever. Miami at 8 seems a little low. Feel like they should be, on top of Notre Dame, especially considering that who Notre Dame lost to and who Miami lost to. Whatever. SMU at 9, I like it. Indiana at 10, no problem there. Boise State at 11, no problem there. Clemson at 12 and Arizona State at 14. I don't understand that one. In a 3-loss Alabama just dropping to 13. Same with Ole Miss down to 15. Bullshit. Everything else from that point is just kind of whatever. But I mean, like Army, for example, dropping to 25. They lost to the number 6 team in the country and they were undefeated going into that game. Like, what the fuck is this? So it makes no goddamn sense to me. Like AP writers, get your fucking shit together. For the love of God. This is unnecessary. English Premier League. I had a bet going last week that I'll talk about in a little bit once I get to these games, but this was the first leg. Chelsea over Leicester City. Easy win there. That was the only favorite pick that was part of my parlay. 2-1 victory, of course. Wolverhampton over Fulham. This one surprised me, but this was not part of my parlay. 4-1 victory for them. Brentford, Everton, not a real surprise that it ended in a draw, even though Brentford played with only 10 dudes in the second half. Everton just can't score. And thank God for Jordan Pickford, because could have been bad for Everton. This was leg number 2 for me. I had Nottingham Forest winning this game, and I was riding high based on the fact that Nottingham Forest had taken down the number 1 Liverpool handily. I was not expecting Arsenal to blow Nottingham Forest out of the water, especially based on the way that Arsenal's been playing the last couple of weeks. So, Brother Bishop, I know you were happy about this on account of the fact that you're a Gunners fan, but I was not. It torpedoed my parlay, much in the same sense that this game did as well. Brighton, Bournemouth, 2-1 victory. Bournemouth, what the fuck, dude? Brighton only had 10 dudes for the last 30 minutes of the game, and you finally don't score until stoppage time in the second half? God damn it. This game I had listed as a draw. And Steve Wright, who I'm not seeing in the chat, was giving me crap for it, especially considering the fact that the two teams hadn't had a draw in, I think, over a decade. So I don't know. I was just kind of pulling on instinct on that one, just based on the way the two teams have been playing the last couple of weeks. But I was definitely expecting a better performance out of Bournemouth. So screw you guys. You doom me. Crystal Palace, Aston Villa. That was a draw. Aston Villa scoring the late goal in the 77th minute to draw it up. Tottenham. Dude, going to this game, if I had $20 to throw in any scenario in this, Lord knows, even though like it would have been huge payout for it, there's no way I would have put all that $20 on Tottenham. I mean, Man City's been playing some rough games of late, and this is probably the worst in the era of Pep. To the point where it's like, if there was a point in time, like even though England is getting Thomas Tuchel as their head coach for the national team, like there was always talk around, oh, we're gonna get Pep, we're gonna get Pep, we're gonna get Pep. After Gareth Southgate retired, like this would have been a game to pull the trigger on that and convince him to leave Man City. But they already pulled the trigger on Thomas Tuchel, so kind of screwed there. And Pep, I don't know. I ain't mad about it because I hate Man City. So good win for Tottenham. Woo. Liverpool barely getting by Southampton, who's in the bottom of the goddamn table. So, like I said a little bit ago, Nottingham Forest, big win a couple weeks ago against Liverpool, and then Southampton, like with a lead until the 65th minute, until Mo Salah just turned it on. And Mo Salah's been having an amazing year. But the 65th, and of course, a penalty in the 83rd minute to win it against Southampton. Like, come on. You guys got to be doing better than that. And yes, they got the 3 points and they got the win, whatever. But still, Man United, Ipswich Town, no surprise, they're a draw. Yes, I'm still pissed about Man United not getting that draw a couple weeks ago, which screwed me out of $250. Fuck you guys. West Ham 2-0 over Newcastle. Bit of surprise there, especially because Newcastle's been playing pretty good the last couple of weeks. But anyway, here's the table. Liverpool still on top with an 8-point clearance. Chelsea and Arsenal and Brighton all tied with 22 points, but Chelsea's got the goal differential tiebreaker there, so good for them. Tottenham, Nottingham Forest, Aston Villa, Fulham, Newcastle round at the top 10. Bottom 3, like I said, Southampton in the very bottom. And then Crystal Palace and Ipswich Towns right above them, as well as Wolverhampton. Crazy season it's been so far. NBA, top dogs got to lose at some point, but hey, they bounced back. Cavaliers finally lost their first game of the season against the Boston Celtics, only by 3 points. Like, despite the fact that the Celtics were up for the majority of the first half, Cleveland turned it on in the second and losing only by 3 to the reigning champs. Not too bad. But 17-1 on the season for them because they got their next couple wins after that loss to the Celtics. Pacers, I think they're figuring it out now. Maybe. Tyrese, you doing better? You had a great game yesterday against the Pelicans, but need some consistency out of that just because there's been a lot of injuries to the Pacer lineup the last couple weeks. Benedict McThurin. Oh my God, it's so good. I'm so happy to have him back in the lineup, but Bucks are finally pulling it together. They're in the top 8. Blah, blah, blah. Wizards, of course, in the cellar. No surprise there. But Oklahoma City Thunder, top dogs in the West, followed by the Warriors, the Rockets, and then the Lakers are getting their shit together again. Pelicans in the cellar, along with the Jazz. And then the Trailblazers. Bit of a surprising season this year with 7 wins. Donovan Clingan has just been a force to be reckoned with. Really glad he was able to fall to Portland just because that was the kind of player they needed. Just an enforcer in the paint, great shot blocker, and he can hit high percentage field goals just because of how big he is and how quick he is. So very happy to see that. Hoping the Suns kind of get their shit together. Nuggets, not so much. And the Mavericks, same thing. Like they're still kind of rounding out things at the bottom portion of the top 10, but I don't need to see the Mavericks in the finals again. I don't care if the Nuggets do or not. The Suns, I want to see get a little bit better. Flashfire said, wait, Sub Diego, Liverpool versus Real Madrid tomorrow should be good. I agree with that. I might have to tune in for that one. Flashfire says, 2 bad choke jobs by my Warriors against the Spurs and Nets. It'll happen, man. It'll happen to the best of us. And then Brother Bishop, my Raps worked too hard for that buzzer beater loss to Detroit last night. Dude, I'm still salty that the Raptors beat the Pacers the other night. Like, that was all Indiana, but for whatever reason, the Pacers cannot perform the fourth quarter. I don't get it. Anyway. Maple Leafs, the top dogs in the Atlantic Division. Yes, Eastern Conference. Game in hand to 3 points clearance over the reigning champion Florida Panthers. New Jersey Devils, top dogs in the Metropolitan Division. 32 points for them, as I said. And then over in the Western Conference, Winnipeg Jets, just like last year, top dogs in the Central Division. Golden Knights, of course, the top in the Pacific. Sharks have had some decent games here and there. They've got the pieces. They've got the pieces to kind of like in the next 2 years to probably put something together. But the Ducks just god awful this year for whatever reason. Stars a little bit more mediocre, but they'll put it back together. I am happy to see the Blackhawks in dead last in the Central Division, though. Screw them. Um, Logan Herrera, what up, dude? I don't know if you were tuned in when I was talking about Texas A&M twice today. One for basketball to start the show. So, Ducks taking them down at MGM Grand Arena about an hour ago. 10-point victory. But then more importantly, how the fuck do you guys lose to Auburn and all you had to do was win and then bam, you're in a fucking playoff spot? Not to beat a dead horse, because I know you've probably been going through it over the last like 48 hours or so, but man, what the hell? I was pulling for you guys. Not in basketball, obviously. Anyway, rounding out the show, Ben's bets, of course. Lock of the week came through. Broncos over the Raiders, money line, -225. Cha-ching. And the Sharks did take down the Red Wings last week when I said they would. Army over Notre Dame. Didn't happen. Bournemouth versus Brighton draw. Definitely didn't happen. So 2 for 2 seems to be my par for the course this year. But this weekend, my lock of the week is going to be Georgia Tech covering the spread against Georgia. Gabe, I know you don't want to hear that. Like I said, I'm not saying Georgia's going to lose. I'm just saying, based on what I've been seeing performance-wise from Georgia this season, not to mention the fact that Georgia Tech's got some pretty big wins. They had that win against Miami 2 weeks ago, or the previous week. So almost 2 weeks ago. I feel like Georgia Tech has the capability of covering the spread. And I think they actually did cover the spread last year, if I'm not mistaken. And it was like a 20-point spread as well. So 19.5 points, I feel like is within the wheelhouse for Georgia Tech on this one. Spurs versus Jazz tonight. I've got the Spurs. EPL this weekend, Brighton versus Southampton. I've got Brighton with the win. And then NFL, I've got the Saints over the Rams. Despite the fact that the Saints are the underdog, if I'm not mistaken, it's going to be at the Superdome. Saints have at least been playing better. So, and it's not to say the Rams have been doing bad. I mean, it's been a lot of close games for them. I just feel like the momentum the Saints have right now is going to shift them into the win column. So, yeah. But yeah, that's all I got. Relatively short show this week, which is probably good for the fact that I still have to get ready for flip the script here in the next 45 minutes. But Sub Diego says, Ben, if the Aztecs beat the Ducks tomorrow in basketball, how about you rock a Michael Cage jersey for recap? First off, did you know that I have a Michael Cage jersey? Like, I've worn it a couple times. Actually, the last time I wore it was last NCAA tournament. I was in Paso Robles, California, and San Diego State was playing that day. I think it was the Elite Eight, or it might have been the Final Four. But either way, I was walking, my wife and I were walking by this bar, and the owner comes out and he saw my jersey and he's just like, dude, is that a Michael Cage jersey? I'm like, yeah. He's like, shit, I've never seen one of those before. Because the owner of the bar was a San Diego State alum, and very surprising. Okay. I did talk to you about this. Okay, that makes sense. So, Flashfire, to answer your question, why would I not have a Michael Cage jersey? So, Champion never made a Michael Cage jersey. I have a couple blank LA Clipper jerseys that I was contemplating using one of those for. However, Michael Cage, toward the end of his career, did play with the New Jersey Nets, and I had a blank of the navy blue era. So when they changed, when Vince Carter, Jason Kidd, and stuff were there, they went to the NBA Finals, that era of New Jersey Nets basketball. I had a blank one of those. So because I needed a representative from San Diego State, I decided to go with Michael Cage for the New Jersey Nets. Now, granted, there are so many other obscure players who went to miscellaneous colleges that have played for the Nets. So I probably could have used one of those Clipper jerseys, like I said, for Michael Cage, but I've already got one set aside for Eric Piatkowski, who played college ball at Nebraska. And the second one, I'm still contemplating using it for. But I did get another New Jersey Nets blank that I need to use for Evan Eschmeyer, who played college ball at Northwestern, because I don't have a Northwestern representative. Yeah, look up that dude if you have no idea who Evan Eschmeyer is. Logan Herrera. Okay, he's got some thoughts. He says A&M men's basketball, signed a final, then went, well, screw you, pal. Dude, come on. And then for football, as much as win and we're in with the beating Auburn because I feel the committee is out for us, but losing on a missed holding call and then subsequently a drop pass doesn't help either. I agree with that. So you missed the first half of the show when I was talking about the NFL, and officiating was like kind of like my main topic of discussion for this week, just because the fact that college is a little bit different than the NFL. NFL, I hold those guys way more accountable because the fact that they all make 200,000 plus a year. They only work one day a week, pretty much, because they're always the same crew. They're all together. So it's just a matter of which game do you get each week. And yeah, that's all your job is officiating NFL games. So college refs fall into a different category just because of the fact that they're not paid as much. There's so many other games that they're covering, blah, blah, blah. But even at that, if your job is to be an official on the field of play in a sporting event, then there is no excuse, especially based on how many of those dudes that are on the field. Because, like I said, it's a 7-man crew. 2 are focused on replay. Then there's the 5 that are actually on the field. And if 5 dudes watching a play break down can't see a single fucking holding call, that's insane. Like, I get it. There's 11 versus 11 dudes on a field of play. But the vast majority of those 5 are looking at what's going on in the pocket, in the backfield. Like, you've got 2 guys focused down the field in the secondary, etc. But the majority of that 5, so 3 dudes, are looking at what's going on with the quarterback and the offensive, defensive lineman, etc. And nobody can see a fucking holding call. Bullshit. That's fucking bullshit. So I mean, this is where, the argument is always made that, Vegas controls sports. And it's like, I totally get it. Shout out to Tim Donaghy for everything that he's opened our eyes and minds up about, even though the dude's a piece of shit who screwed the Sacramento Kings out of getting to an NBA finals. But at least he was honest about it. Once he got out of prison. For betting on and causing teams to win, lose, whatever. Because I mean, at the end of the day, it's a business. You want the best possible matchups in there. And so in a scenario like that, because if I'm not mistaken, the Alabama-Oklahoma game had finished before the Texas A&M Auburn game finished. So if you've got a scenario where you now have a 3-loss Alabama team and you're trying to get another SEC team in there, but Alabama, of course, generates the most money, has the biggest fan base, even though it's Kalen DeBoer's show. Yeah, you could say there was some favoritism there in favor of Auburn to beat Texas A&M. So I'm not gonna dismiss that. So anyway, yeah, that'll wrap it up for this. Gonna give me about 40 minutes because I got to save and upload and get ready for Flip the Script. I'll start that at 6 p.m. West Coast time. But guys, always appreciate you tuning in. I haven't talked to you guys about this I don't think at all. I haven't set the exact date yet, but it's going to come close to 100 total episodes of Benchwarmers that I've done that we are going to. Oh, okay. Before I get into my sad speech here, Logan Harris says 100% agree, and it's also the thing that I kind of hate with the 2-minute report. Yes, what good does it do for the losing team when the report comes out and a play should be overturned? I 100% agree. So going back to my sad story here. So when I was in Arizona a couple of weeks ago, Austin, the rest of the marketing team, and I talked about this, and it's not that we're going to be ending Benchwarmers. We're just going to be like, it's basically going to go into flip the script. Like I'll do flip the script and I'll spend like the last, 10 minutes doing like a whole Benchwarmers thing. So it's just a matter of just one less show per week. Um, yeah, I ain't mad about it. So I'm gonna try and get to like 100 episodes. I think this is episode 93, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm aiming to, basically wrap this up around the time that the college football, national champion is crowned. If it's Oregon, what a fucking show to go out on. So I hope to God it's that. But I've always appreciated you guys tuning in. I don't take that for granted. I love doing this. I love talking sports with you guys. A little bit easier to do it, obviously, when I can see you guys eye to eye and doing it in person. But no, this has been fun. So oh, this hat, little Sugar Shack from a couple years ago. Eat. Um, Oh, I mean, Flashfire, yeah, the comment, the quote of like, "Oh yeah, there should have been a travel on the game-winning shot." Then call it, dude. At the end of the Oregon Texas A&M game, uh, yeah, Oregon cleared by 10 points, but there was a clear double dribble by Texas A&M, and thankfully the dude bricked a 3-pointer, which would have put it within 4, and Oregon got the rebound, then went to the free throw line. But it's just like everybody saw this was a double dribble. Like the dude slipped, picked up his dribble, and then started bouncing the ball again. It's like, how the fuck do you not call that? So madness. JM1620. I appreciate you, man. But guys, I will see you in about 40 minutes or so for Flip the Script. Oregon versus Washington. It is Husky Hate Week. Down with the Dubs, baby. Got to get this win tonight to I think I still have a shot at the Big Ten championship game, if I'm not mistaken. It's close, but hopefully, just for the sake of continuity with the actual Oregon season. But guys, as always, take it easy, and if you don't, take it sleazy. Let's go Ducks. Take care.